I went to nothing crazy. It's recorded live. Everything that's going on. Hands behind your back at all times.
You doing both? Oh no, I want to make sure she's straight doing both. She said she was doing both.
All right, deputies, can you all hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
All right, I'm ready if you are. Do you need a couple minutes?
Now I'm just trying to turn it up right
Okay.
quick.
All right, just let me know when you're ready. Good morning, Ms. Toles.
All right,
Good morning, Your Honor.
we're ready, sir.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Marcus Thorpe. I'm one of the associate magistrate judges here in Clayton County. It's about 5 after 11 here on April 13th of 2024, and this is the first appearance calendar here in Clayton County Magistrate Court. If you're having trouble hearing me, ladies and gentlemen, as we go through not only the beginning here, but also as I speak to you individually, please don't hesitate to let me know, because there are several things that we will go over this morning, not only prior to the start of the calendar, but during the calendar, that is very important to each of you. It's very important that each of you listen carefully, as it will help you better understand the nature and the purpose of today's proceeding. First, let me say, and I'm going to say it several times, ladies and gentlemen, I am not here to try your case. I am not here to take a plea or have any legal discussions with you about the specific facts of your case. The purpose of this hearing today, your first appearance, is to inform you of the charges against you, to advise you of certain rights, to set bond on those offenses for which the court is authorized to set bond, to schedule a preliminary hearing, to determine whether you require the assistance of an attorney. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as we go through this process today, I'm going to first of all remind each of you that you do have rights that begin at the point that you are taken into custody. You have the right to remain silent. Please do not tell me specifics about your case or any legal defense that you may have. As I said earlier, we are now streaming live and this hearing is being recorded. Anything you say during this proceeding can and will be used against you in later proceedings. During this and all other proceedings, you also have the right to the presumption of innocence, to an indictment by a grand jury for felonies or by accusation for misdemeanor. You have the right to a speedy and public trial by jury. You have the right to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify on your own behalf. You have the right to see, hear, and question witnesses who are called to testify against you. And you have the right to testify on your own behalf or offer evidence in your own defense. And then lastly, you have the right to an attorney to represent you. And if you can't afford one, one can be appointed for you if you qualify. Lastly, if there is anyone here who is not a citizen, some of these charges today may adversely affect your immigration status. So it's important that you consult an attorney after today's hearing. Now, as I said, in addition to talking to each of you about what you're charged with, I'm also going to talk to you about your bond. Now, some of you will be allowed to post unrestricted bonds for your release from jail pending the prosecution of your case. Now, these bonds may be obtained or paid for in 3 different ways that we're going to discuss. The first way that it would be posted would be through cash. The second way would be through commercial, and the third would be through property. Now, if you post a cash bond, that means someone will come down to the sheriff's office, deliver the full amount of the bond in cash together with any fees to the sheriff's office, who will hold that money until your case concludes. Now, as an example that I like to use with a cash bond, ladies and gentlemen, let's assume that I tell you your bond today is $6,000. You're charged with battery, family violence. If you wanted to post your bond in cash, you would pay $6,000 plus any fees, and then you'd be allowed out until your until your court case is closed. Now, I mentioned there's a second way. The second way to make bond would be through a commercial bond, and that's where you would get with a bonding company. The bonding company usually charges you 12 to 15% of the bond for their service. And unlike the cash bond, that fee cannot be returned to you. So again, my example, if you're charged with battery, family violence, you choose not to do it in cash, but you want to use a bonding company, you don't have to come up with the full amount, only 12 to 15%. But again, that amount will not be returned to you. The last way to post bond would be through the use of a property bond. And that's where you're asking someone to come down here to the sheriff's office with the deed to their property and for them to give it to the sheriff to hold for the sheriff until such time as your case is closed. The kicker is that person's property must have at least 3 times in equity in your bond, as your bond. So if your bond's $16,000, that means that their property must be worth at least $18,000 in equity. Now, in addition to the charges, in addition to the bond amount, for some of you, I'm also going to tell you that you have additional special conditions that will either prohibit you from contacting certain people or going to certain places. If I tell you that you have a no contact provision on your bond, this means that you must stay away or have no contact with the other party involved in your case. You can't call them, you can't text them, you can't email, you can't write a letter, you can't even contact them through any sort of social media platform. Now, when I say that you can't obviously return to a particular location, that means you can't go back to that location for any reason while your case is pending. If I tell you you're not to go back to a residence and that's where you lived before this happened, I also will remind you that you can go back, but you can only go back with the sheriff's office within 10 days of your release to get any items that are yours. Now, I understand that some of this may be confusing based on your living situation, but please listen to what I tell you as far as your no contacts or not to return to places, because your failure to listen to me could cause the revocation of your bond and additional charges for up to $20,000 in fines or 20 years in custody. If you violate this bond order, those charges that I mentioned are called aggravated stalking and influencing of witnesses. One last thing to mention to you with respect to bonds, if I tell you that you have a no contact against a particular party, please also note that that person cannot be the one to come down and help you with your bond. So my example, if you're charged with battery, family violence against, let's say, your husband, and I tell you you're to have no contact with your husband, he cannot be the one to come down to bond you out. Also, please remember, if you're currently on active probation, and I am able to review that in your criminal history, this court is not authorized to set bond at this time. Whether a bond is appropriate in your case will be considered after your probation officer has had an opportunity to consider this new arrest. Now, there are also some of you who are charged with offenses for which this court is not authorized by law to set bail. And in this event, a bond hearing will also be scheduled before a judge of the Superior Court of Clayton County for you as well. Now, in addition to me talking to you about your charges, your bond, any special conditions, the last thing I'm going to ask you all about each individually is what's called a preliminary hearing. Now, the purpose of a preliminary hearing is to determine whether there is enough evidence or probable cause to keep you in custody. So what that means is I'm going to ask each of you who are charged with misdemeanors, because if you're charged with a felony, you automatically get a preliminary hearing. But if you're charged with a misdemeanor, I'm going to ask you, do you want that hearing? It's a hearing where you're present, your attorney is present, the judge is present, and they review the evidence against you that the officer has to determine if there's enough to charge you formally. If there isn't, your case is dismissed, or it can be brought back at a later time. This the preliminary hearing is also waived if you make your bond. So again, the only time you're ever going to have a preliminary hearing is if you don't make your bond, you're still in custody, and you'd like to have your case reviewed by the judge to determine if there's enough evidence to go forward. Now, you got a choice if you're charged with a misdemeanor, because you may tell me, Judge, I don't want to have that hearing, and I'll tell you that's more than fine. The benefit to not having that hearing is I'll go ahead, I'll move your case much quicker and up to the solicitor, where they will determine what and if you're going to be charged, and you'll be charged directly by them. So again, if you're charged with a misdemeanor, I'm going to ask you this morning whether or not you want a preliminary hearing. If you say yes, we'll set that date. If you say no, we'll go ahead and send you directly on up to the prosecutor for them to consider whether or not you will be charged formally by the Solicitor General. Now, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I need everyone to please raise their right hand as I'm going to swear each of you in. Do you swear or affirm that the information that you're about to give to this court, as well as any information you provided on your application for court-appointed counsel, is true and correct? And if it is, I need each of you to say, I do.
I do.
All right, you all may put your hands down.
Ladies, inside the
All right, Ms. Toles, if I could, I'd like to go ahead and swear you in now, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Toles, do you swear or affirm that the information that you're about to translate from English to Spanish and Spanish to English will be the truth to help you guys?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. All right, so I know that they told me I have one Ms. Toles, but I figured there were going to be two. I believe this is Mr. Zuniga, Galvin Zuniga, and
Okay.
the other is
Luis.
Luis Sanchez. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All
Okay.
right, so Ms. Toles, if you want to introduce yourself to both gentlemen.
Hola, señores, buenos días. Yo soy la intérprete para ustedes hoy en esta vista inicial.
Okay. Now, good morning, gentlemen. My name is Judge Thorpe, and I'm going to go over a couple of things with you before we get started this morning.
Buenos días, señores. Yo soy el juez Thorpe y voy a repasar algunas cosas con ustedes antes de empezar la audiencia esta mañana. Your Honor, I am concerned, the interpreter is concerned just by the look on the gentlemen's faces. May I make sure they can hear me clearly?
Okay, sure.
Señores, quiero confirmar, ¿me pueden oír?
Right,
¿Sí?
can't look there. Don't look at me. There.
¿Sí? ¿Me oyen? ¿Sí? Okay, Your Honor, go ahead.
All right, so gentlemen, we are here this morning for what's called your first appearance, where I'm going to advise you what you've been charged with and what your bond is.
Bueno, señores, estamos aquí hoy para lo que se llama la comparecencia inicial. Le voy a informar de cuánto es su fianza y de los cargos imputados.
Okay. I am not here to try your case.
No estoy aquí para juzgar su caso.
I am not here to take a plea.
No estoy aquí para que ustedes respondan ante las acusaciones.
And I cannot talk to you about the specific facts of your case.
Y no puedo hablar con ustedes sobre los hechos específicos de su caso.
As I talk to you this morning, please keep in mind you have the right to remain silent.
Mientras estamos hablando esta mañana, por favor tenga presente que ustedes tienen el derecho a permanecer callados.
You have the right to a presumption of innocence.
Tienen el derecho a la presunción de inocencia.
You have the right to a indictment by a grand jury for a felony and accusations for misdemeanor.
Tiene el derecho a la presentación de una acusación formal por parte del gran jurado cuando se trata de delitos graves o que proceden en su contra con una acusación cuando se trata de delitos menores.
You have the right to a speedy and public trial by jury.
Tiene derecho a un juicio público y sin demora ante un jurado.
You have the right to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify on your behalf.
Tiene el derecho a exigir que se presenten testigos para que declaren a su favor.
You have the right to see, hear, and question witnesses who are called to testify against you.
Tienen el derecho a ver, a escuchar y interrogar a los testigos convocados a declarar en su contra.
You have the right to testify on your own behalf.
Tienen derecho a declarar a nombre suyo.
You have the right to an attorney to represent you, and if you can't afford one, I will consider appointing you one.
Tienen derecho a un abogado para que lo represente y si no pudiera costo, yo consideraría nombrarle uno de oficio.
Please keep in mind that if either of you are not citizens of the U.S., that some of these charges may hurt you, and so you may want to discuss your cases with a lawyer.
Además, sepan por favor que si no tuvieran la ciudadanía estadounidense, algunos cargos podría perjudicarlos, así que por favor deberían de consultar con un abogado que se especializa en asuntos de inmigración.
Now, gentlemen, there are three ways, once I tell you what your bond is, that you may be able to pay your bond in order to be released from jail until your case is closed.
Bueno, señores, una vez que le informa de cuánto es su fianza, hay tres maneras que pueden pagar esa fianza para salir en libertad de la cárcel hasta que su caso se cierra.
You may pay your total bond in cash.
Puede pagar el total de la fianza en efectivo.
You may pay a percentage of your bond with the use of a bonding company,
Podría pagar un porcentaje de la fianza a través de una compañía comercial de fianzas.
and that is typically 15%, and that is non-refundable.
Típicamente se le cobra el 15%, lo cual no es reembolsable.
Okay? Or if you know someone who owns property, they may bring their deed down to the sheriff's office for the sheriff to hold it, and that will allow you to be released as well until your case is closed.
O si conoce a alguien que tenga alguna propiedad, esa persona puede presentar la escritura de la propiedad a la oficina del sheriff y ellos guardarán la escritura para que usted salga en libertad de la cárcel hasta que el caso se cierra.
All right. All right. So with that, I'd like to speak with Mr. Luis Sanchez first.
Who's that?
Con esto quisiera hablar primero con el señor Luis Sánchez.
Mira.
Are you Mr. Sanchez?
¿Es usted el señor Sánchez? Yes.
All right. Mr. Sanchez, you were charged with 1 count of loitering or prowling and 1 count of obstruction of an officer.
Muy bien, señor. A usted se le ha imputado un cargo de vagar y rondar y otro cargo de obstrucción a un agente de la policía.
Now, Mr. Sanchez, I have reviewed the information I was given about your arrest, and it was missing some vital information. And because of that, I have dismissed the charges against you.
Bueno, señor, yo repasé la información sobre su arresto y estaba algunos datos importantes y por eso voy a desestimar estos cargos en su contra.
Okay. So that means that you will be released on your case to go home today.
Eso significa que en cuanto a este caso, a usted le van a dejar en libertad y puede ir a casa hoy.
Right. However, the prosecutor may decide to charge you again, but as of today, your case is closed.
Sin embargo, el procurador puede elegir volver a formularles cargos, pero en cuanto al día de hoy, por hoy se puede retirar, se puede ir.
Do you have any questions of me, sir?
¿Tiene usted alguna pregunta para mí, señor?
No, es todo.
No, that's all.
All right, good luck to you, sir.
Muy bien, señor, buena suerte.
So
Um,
do you still want him to find jobs even though he's getting dismissed?
Yeah, I'm just gonna do them all in alphabetical order today, Deputy. It's easier that way, trying to just mix them all in.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna go all women alphabetical, all men alphabetical.
Yes, sir.
Are you Mr. Zuniga?
¿Es usted el señor Zúñiga? Yes.
All right, so Mr. Zuniga, you are charged here today with 1 count of no license,
Muy bien, señor Zúñiga. A usted se le ha formulado el cargo de manejar sin licencia.
your bond on that is $1,000.
La fianza para este cargo es $1,000.
You're charged with 1 count of improper lane change.
Se le ha imputado el cargo de cambiarse de carril inapropiadamente.
Your bond is $500.
La fianza es de $500.
You're charged with 1 count of failure to exercise due care.
Se le ha imputado el cargo de no tomar las debidas precauciones.
Your bond is $1,500.
La fianza de este cargo es $1,500.
You're charged with 1 count of tinted window violation for $500.
Se le ha imputado un cargo de infracción por los vidrios polarizados con una fianza de $500.
And lastly, 1 count of speeding for $2,500.
Y por último, exceder la velocidad indicado con una fianza de $2,500.
Okay. So your total bond, sir, is $6,000.
Entonces, tiene una fianza total, señor, de $6,000.
Okay. Are you currently working?
¿Está trabajando actualmente, señor?
Sí.
Yes.
And how much are you making per month?
¿Y cuánto está ganando mes?
Por mes.
A month?
Yes, sir.
Sí, señor.
Como $6,000.
Like $6,000.
Okay. All right. So based on that, sir, if you decide that you want help on your case, you will have to hire your own lawyer. Okay.
Bueno, con esa información, señor, si usted decide que quisiera ayuda con su caso, tendría que contratar a su propio abogado.
Now,
Okay.
earlier I mentioned what is called a preliminary hearing, and that's where you have a right to be present yourself and your attorney to review your case.
Anteriormente yo mencioné lo que se llama la audiencia preliminar. Es una audiencia donde usted tiene derecho a estar presente junto con su abogado para revisar el caso.
These hearings happen only if you don't make your bond on your case before it's closed.
Esta audiencia solamente tendrá lugar si usted no sale en libertad bajo fianza antes de que el caso se cierre.
Okay. And again, this is not your trial. It's just where the judge and the officer and your attorney will review your case to see if there's enough evidence or to dismiss it.
Y repito, la audiencia preliminar no es el juicio, es solamente una audiencia donde su abogado defensor, el fiscal y el juez revisan el caso para determinar si existen suficientes indicios para que siga adelante o si el caso va a quedar sobreseído.
Okay. Would you like me to set this hearing date for you, or do you think you're going to make your bond?
Quisiera que yo programe la fecha de esta audiencia para usted o piensa que va a poder pagar la fianza para salir, señor.
Pienso que sí.
I think so.
That you will make your bond?
¿Que va a salir bajo fianza?
Voy a hacer una llamada para ver si puede pagar.
I'm going to make a call to see if I can.
Okay, so based on that then, sir, I'm just going to show here that you have decided that you don't want that hearing. So you're waiving your right to that hearing. And based on that, then the deputies will have a piece of paper for you to sign for today, and then we're done for today.
Está bien, señor. Entonces, voy a indicar aquí que usted no desea tener la audiencia, usted está renunciando a la audiencia. Los agentes, los alguaciles le van a poner a firmar un documento y eso sería todo para el día de hoy.
Okay.
Do you have any questions
Okay.
for me about anything, sir?
Señor, ¿tiene usted alguna pregunta para mí sobre alguna de esa información?
No.
No.
All right, good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Muy bien, señor. Buena suerte.
All right, thank you, Ms. Toles.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a great day.
You too. All right, deputies. So it should be up first. I have Miss Boswell, Lisa Boswell, and then Jeremiah Lee. L-E. All right, are you Miss Boswell? Okay, Miss Boswell, you are charged with one count of public indecency. Your bond amount is $2,000, ma'am. Do you believe you'll be able to make bond? Okay. Now, I don't know if you heard me earlier, but I was speaking to everyone about what is called a preliminary hearing, ma'am. Would you like to have that hearing or waive that hearing?
Have it.
I'm sorry?
I just have it.
Okay. So I'm going to show here that you do want me to set that bond hearing date in case you don't make your bond. And so because you're charged with a misdemeanor, your bond hearing date, ma'am, is going to be, if you don't make bond again, May 14th of 2024, and that's going to be at 8:30 a.m. And that's going to be on Zoom like you are here today. Now, let me ask you this, Ms. Boswell, are you working?
No.
Okay, so I'm also, ma'am, going to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer. So that means if you need a lawyer here, they're going to reach out to you shortly after you and I are released here today, and they're going to speak to you and start working with you on your case. Okay.
Okay.
So again, you are charged with a misdemeanor. Your bond is $1,000. I've given you $2,000. I've given you a court-appointed lawyer, and your next court date is going to be May 14th, 8:30 a.m. via Zoom if you don't make bond, okay? Did you hear that, ma'am? All right. All right, next up should be Miss Lee.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, so no, I was asking about the jobs. I know you're not going in a specific order, but are they signing them or you're signing them at the
Oh, because you got them. Yeah, I
Yeah.
forget you don't have it like that. Oh, this thing is so thrown. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me log in.
Yes, sir. Sorry, they made it clear.
No, that's no problem. No problem. We're still trying to figure out the best way to do this thing, and it never seems to. But yeah, so Miss Boswell, let's make sure she signs. So let's see. She wanted to have her hearing. So she didn't waive. So she is on the 14th at 8:30. Okay. Order for bond, 2,000.
We should have Ms. Boswell sign, Mr. Gavin, and Mr. Sanchez. Is Mr. Sanchez signing, even though he's dismissed?
No, he shouldn't have to if his is dismissed.
Okay.
I'm gonna do his while I'm in here. All right, so Ms. Boswell should be able to sign now. Mr. Sanchez, let me go ahead and do his.
And Mr. Gavin.
Okay. Charges dismissed.
Hey.
Bond.
Hey, he was in court.
All right, so that one's done, and then there was Gavin.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, Zuniga. Okay, so he'll need to sign as well. All right, let me find him on here. Oh, okay, I've got him. All right, so he.
You can stand up right here. Look, calm down. You're worrying about the wrong person. Don't get yourself in trouble worrying about somebody else. Leave it alone. We'll figure it out. Come on, get him. Because he about to be ready for you. Come right here.
All right, so all three of those should be good to go now. All right. Sorry about that.
No problem.
All right, so let's go. And you are Miss Lee, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Ms. Lee, you are charged with 1 count of the violation of Georgia Controlled Substances Act, 1 count of possession with intent, 1 count of loitering or prowling, and 1 count of possession of drug-related objects. The first count of VGCSA carries a bond amount of $1,000. The second, a bond amount of $3,500. The third, loitering or prowling, carries a bond amount of $1,000, and the possession of drug-related objects carries a bond amount of $500. So your total bond is $6,000. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
You also do have, ma'am, a special condition, and that's to stay away from where this happened, allegedly, 4552 Old Dixie Road. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, looking at the information that you provided here, so you're making about, I want to make sure whether you qualify for a court-appointed lawyer this morning. Are you working, ma'am?
No.
Okay, so based on that, Ms. Lee, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer here this morning. So that means you'll get a lawyer free of charge on your case, okay?
Okay.
Now, the last question I have for you, ma'am, earlier I spoke about a preliminary hearing, whether you want that hearing or waive that hearing. Do you want to have that hearing, ma'am, or, well, actually, let me apologize. Because you're charged with a felony, you're gonna automatically get that hearing. So if you don't make your bond, ma'am, you will have your preliminary hearing. So I just need to give you the date here. Your date for your preliminary hearing, should you not make your bond, is going to be May 13th of 2024, and that's going to be at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. So again, you're charged with one felony drug, one misdemeanor drug, marijuana, one loitering or prowling, for a total bond of $6,000. I've appointed you a court-appointed lawyer, and if you don't make your bond, ma'am, your next court date is going to be May 13th of 2024 at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about anything, ma'am?
No, sir.
All right. Well, good luck to you, ma'am.
Next.
All right. So I've got Miss Moore next. Is that correct?
What's your name? The cop?
Are you Miss Moore?
Yes.
All right. So
I
Miss
didn't write her name.
Miss Moore, I have here that you are charged with failure to exercise due care with a bond amount of $500, DUI with a bond amount of $5,000, one count of speeding, a bond amount of $2,500, one count of reckless driving, a bond amount of $2,000, one count of child endangerment by DUI, a bond amount of $2,000, and one count of child restraint violation. So the fact that the child allegedly was not wearing their seatbelt. So, ma'am, your total bond amount here is going to be $12,500, okay? Do you understand that, Ms. Moore?
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. Moore, are you currently working?
Yes.
And where are you working, ma'am?
Frito-Lay,
How much are you making per month?
1,800.
Okay, so based on that information, ma'am, I am gonna go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer. And so what that means is, ma'am, you'll get a lawyer free of charge on your case that will be able to help you along the way. Do you understand that?
Yes.
The other question I have for you, Ms. Moore, is whether or not you want your preliminary hearing. Do you understand what a preliminary hearing is?
No.
So earlier I was speaking about that preliminary hearings are essentially, it's an opportunity for you to be present. If your attorney is present, the judge is present, and they'll determine whether or not they believe there's enough evidence to go against you for you to be formally charged. So you're not formally charged today. Today, we're just going over what the officer charged you with. But once the police look at this, once the judge looks at this, a judge is going to make a decision about whether or not they believe there's enough evidence against you for your case to continue, or they're going to say your case is dismissed. Would you like me to set that hearing date for you, the preliminary hearing, if you don't make your bond, or do you want to waive your preliminary hearing? So here's what I'm going to do, Ms. Moore. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead, ma'am, and set that preliminary hearing date for you, just in case you don't make your bond. If you make your bond, ma'am, it'll automatically be waived regardless, but I'll go ahead and set that date for you. So if you don't make your bond, your next court date is going to be May 14th, 2024, and that's going to be at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom, okay? Did you hear me, Ms. Moore?
Yes.
All right, do you have any questions of me, ma'am?
No, sir.
All right, then that's all I have for you, ma'am. Good luck to you.
What's the next, Deputy Robin? Next.
Next up should be Miss Spots. Are you Miss Spots?
We have Richard right here.
Oh, Richter, excuse me. Yep, that's right. All right, so Miss Richter, give me 1 second here. Let me pull your information. All right, and you are Miss Jana Faith Richter, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Miss Richter, you are charged with one count of possession of a controlled substance, one count of possession with intent, and one count of trafficking. Now, Ms. Richter, the information that I have here is that you are currently on probation. You don't have to, I don't need you to respond to that, but that's the information that I was given, that you're on probation out of DeKalb currently on an old case.
They closed my probation Thursday whenever I went to court.
Okay, well, and so as of right now, I don't have that. And so what I'll tell you is when you do get a lawyer on your case, ma'am, that'll be something that you want to advise them of so that they can correct this. But as of now, excuse me, the information that I have is that you are currently on probation. And so as a result of that, ma'am, I am not entitled to give you a bond on your case. I'm gonna have to wait and let that be cleared up first. And once that's cleared up, then another judge will be able to review that again. Do you understand?
So the paperwork probably hasn't gone through, so
Uh-huh.
you know at what point that I'll be seeing another judge?
So
'Cause
you're
I
gonna
just
have
went
a
to court
couple
Thursday.
say that one more time. I'm
I
sorry.
just went to court Thursday in DeKalb and they closed my probation, so I understand the paperwork hasn't made it through.
Right. And I understand what you're saying, but I guess what I'm trying to explain to you is if in fact that is the case, what I would tell you is at some point when you do your next court date right now that I've given you is going to be May 14th, or excuse me, May 13th. So at that point, if you have not already gotten it cleared up with your lawyer, that would be the time that you and your lawyer will need to discuss that with whomever the judge is at that time. Because hopefully by then the paperwork will have gone through. And then at that point, I'll be able to tell you, they'll be able to explain to everyone that, hey, she's no longer on probation. And as a result of her no longer being on probation, a new bond can be considered for you. But as of right now, what I'm telling you is what I have is showing that, in fact, you're still currently, on probation at this time.
May
Okay,
13th, at what time? 8:30?
8:30. Yes, ma'am. It'll be at 8:30.
And do you know when I'll be assigned an attorney?
I have no control over that. So that's done by the public defender's office. So that'll be completely separate from us.
So would I need to have my family contact them so that I could speak with him?
They'll come down here.
They come
Yeah,
in.
they'll deal with that. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Good luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you.
You can go in there.
All right. Next up, I believe, should be Spots.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
All right. Are you Miss Spots?
I am.
All right. So give me 1 second here, Miss Spots. All right. So Miss Spots, you were charged with one count of possession of marijuana. Your bond amount is $1,000, ma'am. Do you believe you'll be able to make your bond, ma'am?
Yes.
All right. And are you currently working?
I am.
I'm sorry.
I am.
And how much are you making per month, Miss Spots?
1,200.
Okay. And so based on that, Miss Spots, I am going to go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer to help you out on your case. So you'll get that lawyer free of charge. So it won't be something that you'll be paying for out of pocket. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the last question I have for you, ma'am, because you are charged with a misdemeanor, Miss Spots, you have the right to have a preliminary hearing, ma'am, or to waive that preliminary hearing. You understand? I was speaking about that earlier. You know what that? Do you understand what I'm asking you? Whether you'd like to have that hearing or waive it?
Yeah. I don't.
Okay. And what would you like to do, ma'am? Would you like to have that hearing or waive that hearing? You
Waive.
said waive it.
Yes.
Okay. I'm here, Deputy. I'm in the JOTS right now, so I'm going to show that you are waiving your right to that preliminary hearing, Ms. Spots. And so the deputies will have a document here for you to sign. Once you sign that document, Ms. Spots, that's all I have for you this morning. Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Next up. This should be Miss Stillwell.
All right. And are you Ms. Stillwell?
Yes.
All right. So Ms. Stillwell, you have a couple of charges here that we're going to go through each individually, ma'am. So you were charged with first one count of reckless driving. Then you are charged with one count of distracted driving. And then you are charged with a second count here of distracted driving. And then one count of improper lane change, one count of no license on person, and then lastly, one count of operating a vehicle while in violation of a red light. So simply a red light violation. Your total bond, ma'am, is $5,000. Are you currently working, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, and how much are you earning per month?
About 2,000.
So on your paperwork here, you had 2,800. So which one is it, ma'am?
It's about like 2060.
Okay, do you have any children?
Yes, 5.
Okay. Do you take care of those children by yourself?
Yes.
So based on that, ma'am, I am gonna go ahead. You said 2,500, 5 children. I'll go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer here this morning. So you'll get that lawyer free of charge. So you don't have to worry about paying for one for yourself by yourself, okay?
Okay.
Now, my last question to you, ma'am. I spoke earlier about a preliminary hearing. Would you like to have that hearing, ma'am, or waive that hearing?
Have it.
Okay, so I'm going to show here that you would like to have your preliminary hearing. So your preliminary hearing date is going to be May 14th at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Okay, so again, that's May 14th, 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. I gave you your total bond is $6,000, and I have gone ahead and appointed you a court-appointed lawyer here this morning. Do you have any other questions for me, ma'am?
No.
All right, so that's all I have for you. And if that's everything, give me one moment here, and they're gonna have some paperwork here to sign. Or actually, she doesn't have to sign a waiver because she's setting it. Yeah. All right, give me 1 second. I'm just getting her paperwork together, Deputy.
Yes, sir.
Is this Miss Terry?
Yes.
All right, good morning, Miss Terry. So, Miss Terry, you are charged with 1 count of possession of marijuana, less than an ounce, 1 count of driving under the influence, and then 1 count of driving a suspended license. The bond amount for the marijuana is $1,000. For the DUI is $5,000, and for the driving with a suspended license, it's a bond amount of $1,500. So your total bond, ma'am, is $7,500. Do you understand that?
Just confirm that 7,000.
Yes, 7,500 is the total.
Okay, I missed it.
Okay. Now, based on the information you provided to me this morning, ma'am, I am not going to be able to appoint your court-appointed lawyer. And so that means that if you would like a lawyer for your case, you're going to have to obtain one on your own. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Now, the last question I have for you this morning here, Ms. Terry, you have the right to that preliminary hearing that I mentioned, or you can waive that right. What would you like to do here this morning, ma'am?
I would like the preliminary hearing.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to set that preliminary hearing date for you. It's going to be May 14th at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. So as I said earlier, you're only going to have that hearing if you fail to bond out. If you bond out, then that hearing date is automatically waived, okay?
Okay.
All right, ma'am. Well, if you don't have any questions for me, that's all I have for you, ma'am. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Now, are you Miss Timothy?
Yes, I am. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no problem, Miss Timothy. You were charged with 1 count of driving. You were charged with 1 count of driving without a license and 1 count of what is called a tail light violation, ma'am. As to the driving without a license, your bond amount is $1,000. To the tail light, your bond amount is $500. So your total bond, ma'am, here this morning is $1,500. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, now, based on the information that you provided to me this morning, ma'am, I am going to go ahead and provide you a court-appointed lawyer. And so you'll have a lawyer free of charge. Do you understand that?
Yes.
So the last question I have for you, the preliminary hearing that I spoke of earlier, would you like to have that hearing or waive that hearing?
I was wondering, I don't have any, I don't have a job, but I'm in, full-time school. So I'm not working right now at all and I don't have any help. So
Okay.
I'm in, full-time, I go to school full-time at the EUI in Monroe. And I just moved to Georgia, so I don't know a lot of people that can come and help me, with my bond. I don't know who to call. So, I really can't afford to be dropped from my classes.
All right. So unfortunately, this morning, ma'am, I don't have the authority to grant you anything other than the bond amount that I've given you, but that's a fairly low bond. You'll have an opportunity to speak to not only your lawyer, but appear before a judge at a later time to discuss this later on. But as of today, that's the best I can do for you. But my question to you is about that preliminary hearing. Would you like for me to set you a preliminary hearing date or to waive your preliminary hearing?
What's the difference?
If you have a preliminary hearing, it is a second opportunity before you get formally charged for you to be present, your lawyer and the judge, to see if there is appropriate amount of evidence to go forward. Now, at that preliminary hearing, sometimes they do negotiate bonds as well. So if you don't make bond, that is another opportunity for them to look at your bond and decide what they want to do with it later.
Okay, I'll have my preliminary hearing.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and show that you would like to have that hearing, ma'am. So I'm going to set that hearing for you. It's May 14th of 2024 at 8:30 a.m. And that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand that?
Okay, so I would have to sit here basically until
If you don't make bond, yes, ma'am.
okay, so when I got here last night, I just got a quick question, because this is my first time being in a state jail. So
Okay,
I just moved here from Illinois just about a little over 2 months ago, and I've never been at this jail or any Clayton County or any Georgia jail. So
okay.
my question is like, last night when I came in, they gave me a bond for 2,000.
Say you went out there. Say that again.
I said, last night they gave me a bond for
You said 2,000?
yeah,
Okay. The bond amount that I gave you this morning is going to be actually what it is. So right now it's at 1,500, so it's even less.
okay,
Okay.
all right,
All right, ma'am. Good luck to you.
thank you.
Sir,
Yes,
it's not,
ma'am.
it's not showing for her to sign in the jobs yet.
Oh, I probably because I hadn't completed it all the way through. Let me do that now. But we set her date. It's gonna be May, what was it, 13, 8:30 a.m.
Hold
Zoom.
on, he's putting it in there now, hold on.
All right, she should be should be popping up.
Yeah, it came up, sir.
All right, she should be good to go now.
Last email.
All right, and this should be Miss Williams.
Yes,
All right, good morning, Miss Williams. How are you?
I'm blessed. How are you, sir?
All right, so I'm doing well. So Miss Williams, you were charged with one count of theft by receiving of stolen property, ma'am. That is a felony. And so your bond amount for that is going to be $4,000. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, Miss Williams, based on the information, well, let me ask you first. Are you working, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
And how much are you making per month?
Probably like 1,800, 19.
Okay, and do you have any children?
No, sir.
But based on what you told me thus far, ma'am, I am going to go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer. And so what that means is, ma'am, you're going to get a lawyer free of charge to help you out in your case, okay?
Yes, sir.
And now, one last thing I need to tell you. Because you were charged with a felony, if you don't make your bond of $4,000, your next court date, ma'am, is going to be May 13th. That's going to be at 8:30 a.m. And that's going to be via Zoom. So that's what is called your preliminary hearing for the charges against you, okay?
Yes, sir.
Again, your bond amount is $4,000. I've gone ahead and I've appointed you a court-appointed lawyer based on the information you provided. And then lastly, I've given you your court date is going to be May 13th of this year, 8:30 a.m. via Zoom, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, ma'am. That's all I have for you. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yes, ma'am. You too.
Stop knocking on my door.
Miss Williams, over there.
All right, so that's all the ladies we've got there.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, so we should be ready for the gentleman. I've got up first, Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
All right, are you Mr. Anderson?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Mr. Anderson, you were charged with one count of loitering or prowling and one count of possession of marijuana or possession of violation of Drug Controlled Substances Act. So your bond for the loitering or prowling is $1,000, and your bond amount for the drug count, the possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce, is also $1,000. So your total bond, sir, is $2,000. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, based on the information that you provided here this morning, shows here that you are working and you have one child. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so based on that information, sir, I am not going to be able to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer. And so if you would like a lawyer on your case, you will have to get your own. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, the last question I have for you is this. You are charged with misdemeanors here, sir. So you have a right to that preliminary hearing I mentioned earlier, or you can waive that right, and I'll move your case along a little faster to the prosecutor. Would you like to have that hearing or waive that hearing?
You glitched, Judge. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. You glitched. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I said your preliminary hearing. Would you like me to set a hearing date for you, or would you like to waive your hearing and have me move it faster onto the prosecutor?
Question.
Uh-huh.
Preliminary hearing, will I still be able to bond out?
Well, if you make your bond, that hearing date will go away. Do you think you're going to be able to make your bond?
Of 2,000?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's do this then. If you believe you're going to make it, we can just waive your preliminary hearing date, have you sign the document showing you waived, and then that way you can make your bond and get on out while your case is pending.
Okay.
All right, sir. So I'm going to show you waived your right to your hearing this morning. The deputies are going to have a piece of paper for you to sign, and once you sign that piece of paper, you'll be good to go. Okay.
You know,
All right. Good luck to you, sir.
you as well. Thank you.
All right. So next up should be Mr. Beasley,
Wait, sir.
and then after Beasley is Billing. Are you Mr. Beasley?
Yes, sir.
All right. So Mr. Beasley, you got a couple of cases here. The first one is a criminal trespass. Your bond amount on that case is $1,500. You do have a special condition, sir, and that's to stay away from a Michelle Davis and from the address of 112 Carrington Park. So, Mr. Beasley, if that's where you were living before this happened, please understand that you are not allowed back on that property if you make your bond, unless you are accompanied by the sheriff's office. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
So please do not go back to that property unless you go with the sheriff's office to get any of your items. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So now, sir, in your matters, the second matter, you're charged with one count of a tag light violation, defective equipment, driving without a license, and no insurance. The first count, the tag light, is a bond of $500. The second is defective equipment, is a bond amount of $500. The driving without a license is a bond amount of $1,500, and the no insurance is $1,000. So your total bond, sir, is $3,500 on that second case. Okay, you got me?
Sir.
I said that second case, your total bond is $3,500.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, based on the information you gave me here this morning, Mr. Beasley, I'm going to give you a lawyer free of charge for your cases. Okay.
Okay.
Now, my last question for you, and then we'll be done. Because both of your charges or your cases are misdemeanors, you have a right to a preliminary hearing that I mentioned earlier, or, Mr. Beasley, you can waive that right to that preliminary hearing. And what will happen is I will send your case on up to the prosecutor's office much faster, be charged much, much quicker. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, based on that, which would you like me to do? Would you like me to go ahead, have your case, set that preliminary hearing date for you, or would you like to waive your preliminary hearing and have me move it on up?
Let's waive the preliminary hearing and just pay bond.
Yes.
Say that one more time, Mr. Beasley.
I said, let's waive the preliminary hearing and just pay the bond.
Pay the bond. Okay. I'm going to show here, Mr. Beasley, that you've asked that I waive your preliminary hearing. So the deputies will have a piece of paper there that they're going to have you sign. Once you sign that document, then that'll be all we got for you this morning. Okay. Do you have any questions for me about anything?
No, sir.
All right, sir. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First black.
All right. Are you Mr. Billings?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, Mr. Billings, you were charged here with one count of driving with an expired tag, one count of failure to maintain insurance, and one count of driving with a suspended or revoked license. Now, Mr. Billings, let me explain something to you here. I've reviewed the information here on your case this morning, and there were some things that were missing. Now, because they were missing in what the police provided, I dismissed your case here this morning, so you will be released later today. But I do need to advise you of this. Simply because I'm releasing you as of now, that does not mean, well, it means your case is closed as of right now. But I need you to understand that ultimately, if they so choose, law enforcement could decide to recharge you again. Do you understand that?
Yes.
But as of today, based on what I have in front of me, Mr. Billing, I have dismissed your case. And as I said, you will be released later today.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, sir. And how do you pronounce your name? I don't want to mispronounce it there.
Ram Tranjarat.
Okay, Mr. Chandarat. So, Mr. Chandarat, you are charged with 1 count of driving under the influence, 1 count of speeding, 1 count of open container, and 1 count of possession of less than 1 ounce of marijuana. The DUI carries a bond amount, sir, of $2,500. The speeding, $2,500. The open container, $500, and the possession of less than 1 ounce, $1,000. So your total bond amount, sir, is $6,500. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about that, sir?
No, sir.
Now, I see here that you told me you're working. How much are you making per month?
I make like 500 a week.
So about 2,000 a month.
Yeah.
Okay. So based on that, sir, I am going to go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer. So you're going to get a lawyer free of charge. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
So the last question I have for you, Mr. Chandarat, and this will be it, is that preliminary hearing that I mentioned earlier. So you have a right to that hearing, or I can waive that hearing and send your case on up to the prosecutor to move it a little quicker. Which would you like me to do? Waive it or give you the hearing date?
Waive it.
All right, sir. So I'm going to show here that you requested that I waive your hearing. So the deputy is going to have a document there for you to sign, and once you sign it, that'll be all for you this morning, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next up should be Mr. Crockett and then Mr. Daniel.
Oh,
All right, are you Mr. Crockett?
yes, I'm Mr. Crockett.
All right, so Mr. Crockett, you were charged with 1 count of arson in the 3rd degree. Your bond amount is $10,000, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so your bond amount, sir, again is $10,000.
Mhm.
You do have a special condition here, sir. And that special condition, I'm sorry, give me 1 second here. Sir,
Okay.
give me one. Give me 1 second. I need to add something.
I'll just wait on the side. Wait on the
I'll be right with you, Mr. Crockett. I'm just looking something over.
Okay.
Reading something about your case here.
Good morning, Honor, excuse me. Your Honor,
Yes.
hey, Mr. Billings and Mr. Chad,
Underwrite.
yes, I need, they're not able to sign on jobs just yet.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at here. So for Mr. Billing, I've dismissed his case, so he should not need to sign.
Okay.
On Mr. Chandra, I'm actually putting it in as we speak.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Just give me 30 seconds here. All right, so Billings is done. Mr. Chandra. So Deputy, Mr. Chandaraj should be able to go in now. All right, so Mr. Crockett, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, yes.
All right, so Mr. Crockett, back to yours here. So you are charged with one count of arson in the third degree, sir.
Mhm.
It's a felony. Well, the first thing I need to tell you is your next court date, should you not make your bond of $10,000, is going to be 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand that?
Okay, can I be released on bond and?
Well, I've given you a bond amount. Well, so in order for you to be released, you would have to make that bond. You understand what that means?
Say that one time.
I said I've given you a bond of $10,000, and so for you to be released, you have to make that bond amount.
Okay,
Does that make sense to you?
yes.
Okay. So I looked at the information you provided to me here in regards to your work history, and so based on that, sir, I have gone ahead and appointed you a court-appointed lawyer this morning to help you on your case free of charge. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. So again, you were charged with one felony. Your bond amount is $10,000. I've appointed you a lawyer. Your next court date, should you not make your bond, is going to be May 13th at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you have any questions of me, sir?
What about my job? I do have a job. Do I have to inform them and let them know that I was,
Well,
possibly?
I'll be honest with you, Mr. Crockett. I really can't answer that question for you as to how you want to proceed on that. Unfortunately. So that's a little bit outside of my purview there, sir.
Okay.
All right. So that's all I've got for you, sir. Good luck to you this morning.
Thank you.
All right. Are you Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
All right, so Mr. Daniels, you are charged with one count of driving with no tail light and one count of driving with a suspended license, sir. Those are misdemeanor charges. The tail light carries a bond amount of $500. The suspended license charge carries a bond amount of $1,500, and so your total bond, sir, is $2,000. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I have a question. When I was told my bond before it was higher, and it was paid yesterday, so I didn't know if that would affect anything.
So if your bond was paid then, sir, then you won't have to worry about this one. As of right now, the information I have is that it has not been. But once you get processed by the sheriff, if they see that it's been paid for, then you'll be released later today, okay?
Okay.
So right now, if you believe it's been paid, then we're going to go ahead and just show that you are waiving your preliminary hearing. Do you understand that? So I'm not going to set a hearing date, and I'm going to have the deputies hand you a piece of paper for you to sign, showing that you're going to be you're waiving that right because you believe you already paid your bond to be released. Okay.
Yes.
Do you have any questions of me, Mr. Daniels?
No, sir.
Right, then that's all I have for you, sir. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are you Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Excuse me. Mr. Jackson, you are charged with one count of criminal trespass, sir. Your bond amount is $1,500. Do you understand that?
Oh, yes.
You do have one special condition, sir, and that's to stay away from the alleged victim in this case, a Miss Rakaya Wofford. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Now, you are charged, sir, with a misdemeanor. What that means is you have the right to what we call a preliminary hearing, or you can waive that right, and I can send your case on up to the prosecutor to move a little faster. Which would you like to do, sir? Would you like to have that hearing or waive that hearing?
Oh, you can waive it.
Okay. Are you working right now, sir?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes, sir.
And how much are you making per month?
4,000 a month.
How much, sir?
Like 4,000 a month.
Okay, so based on that, sir, that information, I am not going to be able to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer here this morning. And so what that means is, sir, if you would like to have a lawyer, you will have to go ahead and hire your own this morning. Do you understand that?
Correct.
Say that one more time.
Correct.
Okay. Do you have any questions about anything, sir?
No, sir.
All right, sir. So then again, one count of criminal trespass, a bond amount of $1,500. You will have to hire your own lawyer. You advised me that you wanted to waive your preliminary hearing, and you also said that you understood you're to have no contact if you make your bond with Rakaya Walker. Now, because you're waiving your hearing, the deputies will have a document there to sign for you to sign, sir. And once you sign that document, that'll be all we got for you this morning.
I appreciate it.
All right, good luck to you. All right. You, Mr. Hardiman, is that correct?
Yeah.
All right. So, Mr. Hardiman, you were charged with 2 counts of financial transaction card theft. For each, your bond is $6,500, and so your total bond, sir, is $13,000. You understand?
Yes, sir. So.
Now, based on the information that you provided to me here this morning, sir, you do qualify for a court-appointed lawyer, and so that means you'll be granted a lawyer free of charge. Do you understand that? Did you hear me, Mr. Hardiman?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the last thing I need to just tell you here this morning, or excuse me, now this afternoon, Mr. Hardiman, is that because you are charged with felonies, I have to give you what is called a preliminary hearing date automatically. And your preliminary hearing date is going to be May 13th at 8:30 a.m. And that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's May 13th, 8:30 a.m. And that's via Zoom. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. That's all I have for you. Good luck to you. Are you Mr. Donald Harris?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mr. Donald Harris, you have several charges here we're going to go over together. The first is you are charged with 1 count of cruelty to children. Your bond amount is $2,000. 1 count of theft by taking here, sir. Your bond amount on that charge is $2,000. 1 count of battery, family violence. Your bond amount is $3,500. Criminal damage, $3,000, and obstruction, $2,000. So your total bond amount, sir, is $11,500. You do have special conditions, sir, and they are to stay away from the alleged victim, a Miss Jerica Glover, and to stay away from the address of 563 Moore Avenue. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, based on the information you provided to me this morning here, Mr. Harris, I am not going to be able to appoint you a lawyer. And so that means if you would like a lawyer on your case, you will have to hire your own. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, lastly, I need to ask you, because you are charged with misdemeanors, you have the right to the preliminary hearing I mentioned earlier, or you can waive that right. Which would you like to do? Would you like to have your hearing or waive that hearing?
Would you like that? Can you explain that a little more?
So a preliminary hearing, sir, is where if you don't make your bond, you are present, the judge and the police officer and your attorney to go over your case and determine if there's enough evidence against you. If they say that it is, your case moves forward to the prosecutor. If they say it's not, your case is dismissed, okay? Or I can not give you that hearing. I can move your case a little faster, and I can send it on up to the prosecutor right away for them to review it and then determine if there's evidence enough. And then your case will move quicker to being accused and prosecuted.
Will court date come faster?
I can't tell you that. I don't know. I mean, once I do it today, it's out of my hands. So I can't answer that for you.
I'll do the I'll wait my preliminary hearing.
Okay, so I'm going to show here this morning that you have asked that we waive your preliminary hearing date, sir. And so the deputies will have a document there for you to sign.
Hold up, can I change it? Or is it too late?
Hey.
Okay, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Okay, I said the wrong thing.
Okay, so I'm going to show here that you asked me to go ahead and change it back. And so your preliminary hearing date, sir, is going to be May 14th at 8:30 a.m. And that's going to be via Zoom. All right, so if you don't make your bond, again, your next court date is going to be May 14th at 8:30 a.m. And that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, do you have any questions about anything from me, Mr. Harris?
No, sir.
All right, sir, good luck to you.
Yes, sir.
All right, give me 1 second, sir.
So go straight down the hall. Straight down.
And are you Mr. Hill?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mr. Hill, you are charged with 1 count of driving under the influence of alcohol, 1 count of possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce, and 1 count of failure to drive appropriately with your headlights, sir. These are all misdemeanor charges, and so we're gonna go through the bond amount for each one. For the Oh, that's weird. It's not allowing me to. Give me 1 second here, sir. Mr. Hill, for the bond amount, your bond on the DUI is $5,000. For the possession of marijuana, it's $1,000, and for the failure to have flight, it's $500. So your total bond is $6,500. Do you understand that?
Sir.
Now, as far as did you make your bond already, Mr. Hill?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, I'm showing here actually that you have already made bond. That's why it wouldn't let me put in certain information for you already. Let's go ahead and let's go through the rest of your information here. So based on what you told me, sir, I'm gonna put here that you're out to bond. I'm gonna also, based on what you provided, go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer, so you won't have to pay for a lawyer, okay?
Okay.
Now, because you've made your bond already, that means you've waived your right to a preliminary hearing. And so the deputies there are gonna have a document for you to sign. And once you sign that document, sir, you'll actually be good to go on yours, okay?
Yeah.
All right, do you have any questions for me, sir?
No questions at all.
All right. All right, sir, and that's all I have for you. Good luck to you. That's weird. It will not let me block him out. All right, all right. Are you Mr. Jackson?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mr. Jackson, you are charged with 2 counts of financial transaction card theft. Your total bond here, sir, is $13,000. Now, because you are charged with felony, sir, I need you to understand. Yeah, I need you to understand, sir, that means that you're gonna automatically get a preliminary hearing date if you don't make your bond. So your next hearing, I'm sorry,
Paid for it already.
what do you mean? You think you've already bonded out?
Yeah, like, my mama already paid for it.
So I don't have that, Mr. Jackson, as of yet. So let me tell you this: if you have bonded out, if there was an amount given to you, which typically it's not this early for these kinds of charges, but if in fact you have bonded out, then you won't have to pay this bond a second time. Okay, but typically I want to be honest with you, these kind of charges don't have a bond, and it's my job to set it when you come before me. But in case it is, you don't have to worry. But let me tell you, just in case, your total bond as now is $13,000 for these felonies. if you have not bonded out, sir, and you don't bond out before the end of next month, your next court date is going to be May 13th, and that's going to be at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, with the information that you provided me here this morning, sir, I am going to also go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer free of charge. So whether you bond it out or not, you're going to have a lawyer that's going to take care of your case and work with you on it, and you won't have to pay for it. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. Again, just to reiterate, I do not have that information, but if it turns out, sir, you won't have to pay that bond. But other than that, sir, that's all I have for you this morning. Good luck to you.
Is there a chance I could write down my case number?
Well, you don't have a case number right now, because you haven't been officially charged.
Okay,
All right. Good luck to you.
thank you.
And are you Mr. Johnson?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Johnson, you were charged with one count of fleeing for a bond of $5,000, one count of reckless driving, a bond amount of $2,000, one count of red light violation for a bond amount of $500, driving on the wrong way of the street, $500, bond amount of obstruction of officers, $2,000. Your total bond amount, sir, is $10,000. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, based on the information you provided to me this morning, sir, I am going to go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer. The last thing I need to ask you is this preliminary hearing, Mr. Johnson. You have a right to a preliminary hearing, sir, or you have a right to waive that hearing. And I just want to make sure I've got the right, Mr. Johnson. What's your first name?
Quindarius?
Yep. All right. So I've got you, Mr. Quindarius. So as I mentioned earlier, Mr. Quindarius, you have a right to that preliminary hearing, or I apologize. Let me double check this. Excuse me. Let's back up a little bit. You're fleeing and attempting, sir. They've actually charged you as a felony. Because they charge you as a felony, you actually don't have a right to a preliminary hearing. You automatically are going to get one. And so again, let's kind of start over. That fleeing charge is $5,000 as a felony. A reckless driving is $2,000. A red light is $500. Wrong way down the one-way street is $500, and the obstruction is $2,000 for a total of a $10,000 bond. Now, again, it is $10,000. As I said, you were charged with a felony. And so what that means for you is if you don't make your bond, sir, if you don't bond out on that $10,000 here shortly, then your next court date is going to be May 13th, 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom, like we're here this morning. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
As I said earlier, I have gone ahead and I've appointed you a court-appointed lawyer based on the information that you provided to me on that sheet of paper the deputies gave you earlier. Do you have any other questions for me about anything, sir?
No, sir.
All right, sir. Then that's all I have for you. Good luck to you. All right, now you, is it Tyrese Johnson?
Sir.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Mr. Johnson, you were charged with one count of criminal trespass and one count of simple battery family violence here. Those were the initial charges against you. There is some information, sir, that was missing in the police officer's warrant. And so as a result of that, sir, I have dismissed the charges against you. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, let me be clear, Mr. Johnson, because I am dismissing the charges here today, that does not mean that ultimately these charges can't come back against you. And what I mean by that is, simply put, an officer can review this. He can look at the things that may have been done incorrectly, correct those things at a later date. And if he does that, sir, then he has the ability to then turn around and recharge you again and to do it differently. Do you understand?
Sir.
And so it's important that you understand that, because at that point, what can happen is you could be rearrested, or you could be contacted and told for you to come down to the jail so that you can be booked in again appropriately. Do you understand? But as of today, sir, you will be released, Mr. Johnson, today, pending anything else happening on your case. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off on this dismissal. And once I do that, later today, you should be released from custody. Do you have any questions about anything of me, Mr. Johnson?
No, sir.
I'm sorry.
No, sir.
All right, good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Hey, what's the name of? Oh, yeah.
If they're dismissed, they don't have to sign. Okay. Are you, Mr. Mullins?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mullins, you are charged with 1 count of possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce. Your bond amount is $1,000, sir. Do you believe you'll be able to make your bond?
I haven't used the phone yet or nothing, so I really don't know what's going on.
Okay. So right now, let me just tell you, Mr. Mullins, that's your bond amount that I am setting here today. So you're charging 1 count. No. 1 count of misdemeanor marijuana. Are you working right now, Mr. Mullins?
No, sir.
All right, so I'm going to give you an attorney free of charge that's going to be able to help you on your case as we move forward. Do you understand what I was talking about earlier when I said a preliminary hearing date?
No, sir.
Okay, so a preliminary hearing, sir, is where you're there, your attorney is there, the judge is there, and they go over your case again to determine if there's enough evidence. And if there is not, they will dismiss it. If there is, then your case keeps going to the prosecutor. I can set that court date for you if you don't believe you'll make your bond, or I can skip that and just fast track you on up to the prosecutor to make your case move a little faster. Would you like me to set that hearing date for you or to fast track it on up to the prosecutor?
Fast track.
All right, so then I'm going to show here, sir, it's called a waiver. So I'm going to show here this morning that you've asked me to waive your right to that preliminary hearing. And so based on that, sir, the deputy is going to have a piece of paper for you to sign. And once you sign that piece of paper, sir, that's all we'll have for you this morning, okay?
All right.
All right, sir. Well, unless you have any questions for me, that's all I have. Good luck to you. All right. Are you Mr. Murphy?
Murphy?
Yep. Mr. Murphy, you're charged with 1 count of driving with no tail light, 1 count of 1 count of theft by receipt of stolen property, and 1 count of giving a false name. Now, sir, the tag light is a misdemeanor. The bond amount for that is $500. The theft by receipt of stolen property, however, is a felony, and the bond amount, sir, for that is $5,000. And then lastly, the giving false name is a misdemeanor, and the bond amount of that for that is $1,500. So your total bond is $7,000. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Now, based on, sir, the information that you provided to me here this morning, I am going to go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer, sir. So you'll have a lawyer free of charge to help you on your case. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I got you.
Now, because you are charged with misdemeanor, sir, the last thing I need to tell you is if you don't make your bond amount, if you don't bond out, your next court date is going to be May 13th at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's May 13th, that's 8:30 a.m. and that's via Zoom. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about anything that we just talked about here today?
No, sir.
All right, sir. Well, again, you got a $7,000 bond. I've granted you a lawyer free of charge. Your next court date is May 13th if you don't bond out. Good luck to you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right. Next up should be Mr. Murray.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir? Mr. Murray, you're charged with 1 count of fleeing from a police officer, 1 count of reckless driving, 1 count of speeding, and 1 count of no license. The fleeing carries a bond amount here of $500, Mr. Murray. The reckless driving carries a bond amount of $2,000. The speeding, $2,500, and the no license carries a bond amount of $1,000. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir. They explained to me that I think when I first got booked in, they gave me a bond. My aunt went right to the bonding company and paid it as soon as it happened. When I got incarcerated, I think that was around 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, sir. I paid my bond. They sent the pay stub and cash, I think.
Okay, so you think you may have bonded out already?
I already did. I know I did. Jam bonding.
Okay. Right, let me just say this, as of right now, I don't have that information, so I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just letting you know right now, I don't have that. And so as of right now, I'm giving you a bond of $6,000. If in fact it turns out that you have made the bond, you won't have to pay this amount again, okay?
All right, so if I already done paid it, it's paid. But if it's not, what you call it, you granted me one for 6,000 for.
Yeah, then I'm granting you a $6,000. That's correct.
Is that 10%, sir, or?
Well, it depends on how, if you want to do it through a bonding company, then it would be, like you just said, the 10 to 15% that you'd have to pay.
Okay, that's cool. But they paid it though, cause that's why they was the. Okay.
I'm just letting you know that in case you hadn't, okay?
All right.
Now, since you believe you have, then that means you would have waived your right to a preliminary hearing. I'm going to show here that you are requesting the waiver of your preliminary hearing, which means that the deputies will have a piece of paper for you to sign, sir. And once you sign that document, that's all we got for you this morning, okay? All right. Thank you, Mr. Murray. Next up should be Mr. Is it Norfleet?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mr. Norfleet, you're charged with one count of possession of marijuana less than an ounce and one count of tenant window violation, sir. Your bond amount for the marijuana is $1,000. Your bond amount for the tenant window, sir, is $500. Your total bond amount is $1,500. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, sir, these are both misdemeanor charges here against you. And so what that means for you and why that's important is that preliminary hearing that I spoke of earlier. That means you can either have that hearing or I can fast track your case on up to the prosecutor's office and you can waive that right to that hearing. What would you like to do? Would you like to have that hearing set for you or waive that hearing?
I'm waiving that right.
All right, sir. So I'm going to show here that you're waiving your right to your preliminary hearing this morning. And based on that, sir, the deputies will have a document here for you to sign this morning. Once you sign that document, sir, that'll be all we got for you this morning. All right. Any questions of me?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right. Good luck to you, sir.
What are their names?
Mr. Patton. You, Mr. Patton?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mr. Patton, you're charged with one count of improper use of a turn signal, aggressive driving, possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime, speeding, improper lane change, improper passing, improper divided signaling, divided highway, fleeing, no license, following too closely, obstruction, theft, and possession of a weapon during the commission of a crime. Now, the officer who charged you with all this stuff, sir, some of this was inappropriate, so I've dismissed some of these charges. I've actually dismissed the possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. I have dismissed the aggressive driving charge, which is 17. And then finally, we dismissed the improper signal charge. So 3 of them I've dismissed. Now, for the remaining charges here, Mr. Patton, we're going to go through each of them, and I'm going to tell you what your bond amount is for each of them, okay? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, so for the defective equipment, sir, your bond amount is $500. The reckless driving, your bond amount is $2,000. For the speeding, your bond amount is $2,500. Let's back up. For the defective equipment, it's $500. For the reckless driving, it's $2,000. For the reckless conduct, is $2,000. For the speeding, it's $2,500. Okay. For the improper lane change, it's going to be $500 here. For the improper passing, it's another $500. For the restriction on a divided highway violation, it's $500. For the no license, it's $500. Let's do that one. For the aggressive driving, as I mentioned to you, we have dismissed that charge against you. So I'm gonna go ahead and enter the dismissal for you. Okay. All right, so the following too closely, your bond amount is $2,000 on that. For the obstruction, your bond amount is going to be $2,000 on that. Okay. By taking, your bond amount is $5,000. And then, as I said, the possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime, I have gone ahead and I'm dismissing that warrant against you as well. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm going to give you your total bond amount here. Well, give me 1 second. Put all this in for you. All right, so your total bond amount on all those charges, sir, is $16,500. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this. Are you working right now, Mr. Patton?
Yes.
How much are you making per month? Mr. Patton, how much are you making per month? You speak up for me? What kind of work are you doing, Mr. Patton?
Detailing.
All right, so Mr. Patton, I'm gonna go ahead and appoint you a court-appointed lawyer, sir, that can help you out on your case free of charge, okay?
Oh, okay. All right.
You hear me, Mr. Patton?
You gotta speak, say yes or no. You gotta speak up.
Yes.
You hear what I said, Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Okay. Now, lastly, Mr. Patton, I'm gonna go ahead and set your preliminary hearing date because of the way our conversation is going so far. So if you don't make your bond, sir, your next court date is gonna be May 14th at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you have any questions of me, Mr. Patton?
No.
All right, sir. So I've gone ahead. 16,500 is your bond. I've appointed you a lawyer. Your next court date is going to be the 14th of next month. Should you not make your bond, good luck to you, sir.
Well, he gotta wait. Go and find. Till it come up.
What is going on? It didn't save any of his stuff. All right, give me 1 second, Becky.
Hey.
There's a lot of goddamn violations.
That's weird.
I already got a haircut by the jail. And he fucked up in the game.
Not the best.
I'm almost. Almost.
The dude who could, the inmate, can't speak up.
What's going on with this? Okay.
Why these folks don't take out serious?
That's kind of work out. Real quick. Instantly. No. No actual.
There we go. I think I got it.
But I ain't the one.
How you gonna do it?
How you do
Aggressive driving position. What is going on with this computer? Okay. Improper lane change. Come on, settlement. Okay, just close again. Not letting me do that. I don't know what's going on. Okay, I'm gonna have to come back to that one and figure that out. It's just not letting me do it. All right, we are Mr. Strong up next.
Last name, Strong.
Are you Mr. Strong?
Yes, sir.
They gotta come back to training.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to come. It's not letting me save his in there for some reason.
Yes, sir.
I may have to call them and ask them what's going on with it. All right, so Mr. Strong, you are charged with 1 count of no license and 1 count of defective headlights. The no license carries a bond amount of $1,000 and the defective headlights carries a bond amount of $1,500. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about that?
Yes, sir.
So based on the information that you provided to me this morning, sir, you do qualify for a court-appointed attorney. And so what that means, Mr. Strong, is that you'll be given an attorney free of charge for you to assist you on your case. Do you understand that? Okay, so lastly, sir, because you are charged with misdemeanors here, you have the right to a preliminary hearing, or you have the right to waive that preliminary hearing, and I'll send your case on up to the prosecutor's office directly. Would you like me to waive your hearing, or would you like me to set that hearing date for you?
If you waive it, I got a question for you, Your Honor. If you waive it, will they like process the case right then and there when
It doesn't process it right away, but it does move it a little quicker.
okay, I'm not gonna waive my preliminary,
Okay. I'm gonna show your next court date, sir, since you are not waiving your preliminary hearing, is gonna be May 14th, and that's gonna be at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. So if you don't make your bond, that's gonna be your next court date. Do you understand that, sir?
you said May 14th, my right,
14th, I'm sorry?
now write this down.
Yes, sir, go ahead, May 14th, 8:30 a.m., and that's gonna be via Zoom, just like we are here today. And again, that's if you don't make your court date. Do you understand?
Yes,
Do you have any questions about anything for me?
no, sir. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, sir, thank you.
Mr. Trump.
Are you Mr. Wilson? Mr. Wilson?
Wilkins.
Yes, sir, Mr. Wilkins. You are charged here. There's a couple of things we're gonna go over. Let me pull your stuff here. All right, so Mr. Wilkins, you are charged with 1 count of battery. Your bond amount is $5,000. 1 count of theft by taking. Your bond amount is $2,000. 1 count of aggravated assault by strangulation. I have denied you bond there. 1 count of battery again. Your bond amount is $3,500. And 1 count of cruelty to children. Your bond amount there is $2,000. So let me explain to you a couple of things, Mr. Wilkins. The reason for the no bond on those particular charges, sir, is because the allegations are such that I don't believe at this time it would be appropriate to set you bond. Doesn't mean that you won't get one at a later time, but just not as of today. Do you understand that?
Yes, but I don't.
Say that again.
I said I do, but I don't. Because
Well, let me just say this. I don't think it's appropriate for you to have a bond. Another judge may grant you one at a later time, but as of today, I'm not going to grant you bond on some of these charges. Do you understand that?
yes, and which sort of charge you said that I didn't get a bond on?
The aggravated assault by strangulation.
That's just that one?
Just that one. Yes, sir. Now you do have special conditions, sir, and that's to stay away from Imonte Moore and Ebony Nelson. Do you understand that?
Yes, and the charges that I was charged with, those 2 charges, she was charged with those charges and she had paid it out to me.
Okay, remember what I said earlier. I can't talk to you in detail about the facts. So you don't want to do that. Remember, sir, this is being recorded. So the last thing you want to do is talk to me about individual charges. But right now, you're going to have to stay away from Imonte Moore and Ebony Nelson and from the address of 6001 Trammell Road. So if that's where you were living before this happened, if you make your bond, you get a bond and you make it at some point, you will have to go over there with the deputies to get any items that belong to you. Do you understand?
Yes, I wasn't living there.
Okay, no problem. Then this shouldn't be an issue for you, okay? You understand, Mr. Wilkins?
Yes. And how much?
All right, so say that again.
How much was the bonds that you gave me for my other one?
For the other charges, it was 585. Let's see, 12.5. So you got bond denied on the one and 12.5 on the rest. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
All right. So good luck to you.
My next court date?
Yeah, May 13th. Excuse me, May 13th, 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. All right.
8:30. You said 8.
May 13th. May 13th, 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. All right. And now it should be Mr. Wilson.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, sir.
All right. So you got a couple of cases here. So we're going to go through them individually. So the first is you are charged in 1 count they got here for theft by deception and theft by receipt of stolen property, okay?
Yes, sir.
So on that case, your bond amount is going to be, let's put that in, $7,000. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, because you are charged with felonies in that case, your preliminary hearing date, if you don't make your bond, your next court date is going to be May 13th, and that's going to be 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir. May 13th at 8:30.
Yes, sir. 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom.
Okay.
And that's on the first case where you're charged with by deception and theft by receipt of stolen property. Okay.
Understood.
Now, in that case as well, there is an allegation that you had, allegedly done some things at a particular piece of property or on a piece of property. Let me say that. And so as a result of that, you do have a special condition, sir, and that's going to be to stay away from 1034 Citizens Parkway. The warrant that I review is alleging that that's where this incident happened. Okay, you don't comment on that, but I'm just telling you, your case is closed. You got to stay away from 1034 Citizens Parkway. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Now, because of information that you told me this morning, sir, I am going to go ahead. I'm going to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer free of charge. So you'll have a lawyer to help you on your cases, and it won't cost you anything. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. So now let's talk about the second case here that they got here on you that they split up. All right. Now the second case here, you are charged with one count of altered ID. The bond amount is $1,000 on that one. Then the next charge is a theft by taking. Your bond amount on that is $3,500. The next charge is possession of tools for the commission of a crime. Your bond amount on that is $3,000. The next charge after that one is a theft by deception. Your bond amount is $3,000. Your next charge is theft by receipt of stolen property. Your bond amount on that one is $2,000. And then lastly, interference with government property. And your bond amount on that, sir, is $3,000. On this second case, your bond amount is $15,500. Do you understand that?
15.5, sir.
Yes, sir. 15.5. Okay. Did you hear me?
Yes, sir. I have for the first one 7,000, the second one 15.5.
Yes, sir. Now, on this case, you also are going to have a special condition, which is to stay away from that 1034 Citizens Parkway again. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Lastly, because this case, sir, also includes felonies, you got that same court date for a preliminary hearing, and that's going to be May 13th at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, sir. Do you have any questions about anything for me?
Just one, sir. When would I get contact with the court-appointed attorney?
They will reach out to you, sir. It's I'll send some paperwork over to them, and you should hear from them in the next, I would say, week or two.
Yes, sir. Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Wilson.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, folks. That should be everything. Deputies, are you showing that to everybody?
You got one more for the expedition? Mr. What's last name? Daughter?
Oh, that must have, okay, I did, someone, DAUDA?
Yes.
Okay, they sent that later on as a, okay, I see it here as an add-on. All right, let's see, give me 1 second, let me just take a look.
Okay.
All right. All right. So are you Mr. Dowda? Is that how you pronounce it? Dowda, D-A-U-D-A?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Dowda, you are what we call a fugitive from justice. Essentially, what that means is, sir, I've got information that was provided to me here this morning advising that you have a warrant out of the state of Georgia. Specifically, you have a warrant out of Oklahoma. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, from that, what that means here is you got some options here, and we're going to talk through them. You can decide what you'd like to do. Now, because you've been picked up on an out-of-state warrant, and we have this document here that says that they want to necessarily come and pick you up, the next thing that's got to happen is one of two things. The Clayton County Sheriff's Office has advised them that you are here. Either one, they're going to come pick you up in the next 30 days, or we're going to release you. Now, here's your options here. If you tell me, Judge, I want to not fight my extradition, but I want to fight the underlying charge. I want you to send me back to Oklahoma and let me deal with that charge when I get there. That means essentially you're waiving your right to fight this extradition. That means that they've done everything correctly, they filled out the paperwork correctly, and you just want me to send you back to Oklahoma, excuse me, so you can deal with this charge. Okay, so that's option one. Option two, you can tell me, and they have to come get you in that 30 days I spoke of. If they don't come get you in 30 days, we release you. Option two would be you tell me, Judge, I do believe that they did something wrong on this extradition paperwork. So you're not fighting the underlying charge. You're not fighting the charge. You're not saying you didn't do it. You're just saying, Judge, I believe they did something wrong. I want to fight this here in Clayton County. And if you say that, then we give you 60 days and they will appoint you a lawyer, and you'll try to have that hearing in the 60 days. If we get to day 61 and you still haven't had that hearing, sir, we get another 30 days for Oklahoma to get it together and for you to have that hearing. So you potentially could be sitting here 90 days waiting to have your hearing. Okay, so that's option two. So presenting you with those two options, sir. Again, option one, you'd be saying to me, Judge, I don't want to fight this. Go ahead and send me back to Oklahoma, and I'll deal with this once I get to Oklahoma. Or option two is, Judge, please go ahead. I want to fight this here in Clayton County because I don't believe the procedure is correct. Please hold me here in Clayton County, and I'll sit here until my court date. All right?
Yes, that's fine.
All right, so which would you like to do, sir? Would you like me to waive this extradition right and send you on to Oklahoma? Or would you like to stay here and try to have your hearing in the next 90 days?
Waive it, please.
All right, so with that, sir, there's going to be some documents, about 6 documents that the sheriff is going to have you sign, the deputies there. And once you sign those documents this morning, that's all I have for you, sir. All right, good luck to you, sir. All right. All right, deputy, with that, I think that is everyone.
All right, now what about our patent?
Yeah, I'm trying, if you give me a second here, let me try it again and see. It for whatever reason, wouldn't let me put the information in. Just hold right now. Let me try one more time.
All right.
And see if it'll
More.
work.
And also more. Last name more.
Oh, more, okay. Yeah. Yeah, give me 1 second on that. I'm putting more in first.
Okay.
You don't have more one room. Oh, I'm gonna keep. Yes, sir. No. Sign that one. Keep the last one. No, sorry. Wrong.
Totally more. Huh?
Oh, you got him? Okay. Yeah. Oh, got her. Okay. And you go like how you say, you know, little sir. You got 3 more.
All right, Deputy. So more should be ready, and I'm working on Patton right now.
Okay, thank you. You too. Trying to figure it out now. I went to the old school.
All right, Deputy, it finally went through.
All right.
All right, so we should be good to go.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. You have a good one.
You too.
Okay.